Welcome to our operator talks. We're going to continue with Mariska van den Berg and Lavinia Xausa.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
Hi. We're going to talk about joint narratives, still to be seen here till January the 17th, if I'm correct. Lavinia, you made a video work, am I correct?
Yes.
Yeah, good. So, in the accompanying text, there is something about the mainstream image of hip-hop.
Yeah.
What is that?
But a bit the idea of maybe the general idea that everybody has about hip-hop. So what we see nowadays on TV and on video clips. And the text talks about like stripping off that image and go back to the main essence of that. That for me is pretty much the lyrics and the content of the lyrics. So the work revolves about how can we make use of these lyrics to communicate as a tool to communicate. So and
do you have a personally a connection to hip hop? Did you
no.
Did you no, not at all.
No, when I started the project, I was just listening to Kendrick Lamar and that was it. I mean, like I had a passion back from when I was in Italy on Italian hip hop, but then when I came here, I just decided to explore what was going on in the Netherlands. But I'm not an expert.
No, that's fine. I'm just trying to establish like what it is that you mean by it, the mainstream image.
But it's when I talk about mainstream, I talk about more the commercial image that we have with our singers nowadays. So that also goes to touch more the trap world and this very more superficial idea of hip hop. What the works want to talk about instead is that something that goes beyond that is the conscious rap, the content world of this type of music, and it goes to the world of spoken word artists, slam poetry, and other tools.
Yeah, so you go way more into the say traditional or the one might say old school character of hip hop then.
Yeah, it goes more. It wants to use the main goal of hip hop. What was the main goal back in the days of hip hop? That was to communicate for a generation, to communicate for talking about situations, social situations, political situations, identities, that things.
Maybe also sort of activism.
Yeah, the most
speaking up. Great. So did you? Your work is called "It's Further Than Hip Hop."
Yeah.
Is that a wink or a attribution to the Dead President song?
Bigger than hip hop.
Why did you make the subtle change to use further instead of bigger? Because
the video is not really about hip hop itself. It's about talking about topics that are more open, that goes beyond hip hop, like about colonial area, about contemporary area, about religions, about spirituality, about secularism. The work itself revolves more about on this confrontation between, or on this parallelism, maybe a confrontation or contrast between what the former Dutch missionaries would did when they would leave Netherlands to go and preach the gospel to the colonies, in relation to what these hip hop artists with heritage from the colonies do and preach their own verb in Rotterdam or in the Netherlands. So it's like a sort of historical circle that use hip hop as a tool, but it's not about hip hop itself. It's about like speaking up, about like preaching your own religion or your own values, your own identity, background, experience. So
through the use of language, through a narrative.
Yeah.
And then we come to the joint narratives.
Yeah.
Was it easy to make a selection for the joint narrative show?
Well, the thing is, joint narrative, it is 3 exhibitions, so 3 solo presentations by young filmmakers.
Mm-hmm.
And we've had the first one, which was Katarina Jazbec. And now we are opening tomorrow Lavinia. And then February, March, there will be Heidi Vogels. And to be quite honest, I know all 3 of them for quite some time. And this is also because we have this shared interest. Mm-hmm. Because I'm really interested in how in documentary and in art film, I consider it as a way of speaking, especially now, not so much, and this is already old-fashioned, but then again, not so much primarily a way of expressing for the artist, but more a way to speak, like what Lavinia just said. And then there is this amazing possibilities within these scenes, because they are a bit out of the mainstream, so you can let go a bit of the formats and the convention, so you can work with the image and the montage, and you can also work with stuff that you cannot represent. I mean, we can represent image and sound, but we cannot represent memory or feelings. And this is what all the 3 ladies are working with, and I'm very interested in that. So it came together really in a conversation. I wanted to work with the 3 of them, and then this was the way to do it.
Right. I was curious if the order of selection was first the artists or first the theme, or
it was a bit. It came about in our conversation. Yeah. Because we have been knowing each other for quite some years, and also with Heidi, and I was just really interested in their work, and they were interested in what I was trying to do. So this is how it came about. Because for me, what I find really beautiful about the works is that they are not so much heavenly experimental or so, they are accessible, but they are very sensitive. Like with Katarina, she made 2 works, and they were both, what she did is she read fiction, so stories with people, specific people, and then all kind of conversations come about. And people start speaking and opening up about stuff that normally you do not address in the public sphere. So this whole idea of how we conceive of each other, because one of her films was inmates, young inmates in a prison. Mm-hmm. And we tend to have these ideas about them because they live totally different lives, have totally different opinions and views. And she opens it up. So... And it makes you think, like, whoa, what do I know about them, or what? And you start, because this is what she does. She gives you the possibility to step in their perspective, really. Yeah. And this is also what happens with Lavinia, I feel, because the word artist she is talking to, they are talking about how the colonial history still resonates in their Rotterdam lives right now. Yeah. And we know this from history books, but we don't know how it feels. And because they word it, and they leave this in the media, it's always, and also in official history, it's always quasi-objective. Mm-hmm. And this is totally subjective. It's from their lived experience, and that's what makes it so strong for me. And then these amazing images, and I just find it a great way to speak about these topics.
Yeah, I had the same experience when I saw it.
Right.
That you immediately get a sense of. For me, it was pain,
Absolutely.
and shame as well.
Yeah, and you feel it, and that is special.
And I find it very impressive that how you stage them stately in this old environment, where they almost became sort of like, it reminded me immediately of a Renaissance painting. But then with characters with a stronger story, or with a that's how I interpret it.
It's about a bit making a statement out of also placing these figures in the space. But I wish it was more subtle, but but it's also good that gives impressions to the viewer, I guess.
Yeah. So you use the rap lyrics as a lens to look at it. When did you just decide to do those consequences in line with the colonism?
But honestly, when I started this project, I didn't really know that I would land in a colonial topic since the beginning, because the project came from a very genuine interest about Rotterdam. I moved here 5 years ago, and I was living in Charloes, and I thought, okay, such a place. I was really curious to understand all these neighborhoods and the people living in this neighbor. And then I thought, Kendrick Lamar is so cool. He just won the Pulitzer Prize. So I wonder, how can we make people talk through rap? And then approaching these people, most of them, they were like, actually my topics are about my heritage from the colonies. And then it came this group of amazing artists that talk about it. And then through a series of conversations together, I would invite them in my studio, having food together and just talk and try to also create connection to each other's. It came out this common ground that was having this colonial past in the families, in experience themselves. Some people moved when they were young. Others had just parents that moved generations before.
Was it easy to find those people for you?
Oh yeah, because it's rap. No, but it was easy because it came from a very genuine interest, and people were really willing to help me. So I contacted moderator that will organize spoken word nights, or the hip hop house, or they really addressed me to people like it was really easy because everybody was willing to help me, and everybody was curious about this topic. Of course, everybody's curious about this topic, but everybody felt that it was a good way to talk about these subjects. It was easy.
So this came together, right, via conversation?
I think so. Because I think the work of Katarina, she was in the end phase when I started really to think about an exhibition. Yeah. But Lavinia was still fully developing, so we spoke about it a lot, and also about the edits. And Heidi at the moment is still making an installation that's going to be here. And because I would like to add on what Lavinia just said, what I thought was also really interesting is that she's working with the word. She's working with the rappers, and they are all quite known in the city. I mean, they have their audience, and they have a practice, quite some recognition. But then when you do it again, or they wrote the texts that they recite in the work, especially for the work, for Lavinia. And then she makes this combination with the images, and then something else is also going to happen. So there it's also a bit more than only the rap culture. It becomes like a visual work, because you work with those historical footage also of Indonesia that's there. And then there comes another layer in it as well. And I saw that growing, of course, because she showed it now and then. Yeah, beautiful. Yeah.
When you program such a show as this, for who do you program?
Yeah, that's a very good question. And a difficult one. Yeah, I must say I'm quite passionate about this idea that we all know, of course, that art venues are not, in terms of audience, it's not the best reach you can think of. Mm-hmm. But then again, it has to start somewhere. And I really think that this way of trying to reflect and present these issues is really important. Because I saw this book presentation last week, David van Rijbroek. Okay. He is a Belgian cultural historian. He wrote the book Revolutie, which is about the colonial history Indonesia, the Netherlands. And he also said what he does is it's all oral history, so he goes to the people, they have their stories. And he says this is what we really need now, that we can really relate to what the experiences of people and how it feels. And I also think that art has that potential much more than official history, historiography or the media. So yes, I find it important, and I try to write texts that are accessible, definitely. Mm-hmm. And that's about what you can do, I think.
Yeah.
I can't grab, it's even hard to get all of my own friends here, because art has this, how do you say this, drempel, which is Dutch? Yeah. This barrier, for many people, but still, yeah. At the same time, these are the places where we can show it and think like this and reflect like this.
Yeah. I actually sort of the same question for you therein. For who do you make your work?
I'm still thinking about the subject rather than the audience itself. Yeah. When at the end of this process, it was so nice to create this relationship that became little by little a friendship with my participants, collaborators. Yeah. And for them, like the feedback that I got for them was like, yeah, well, how this process actually helped me to find connection, to find people that experience this kind of uprooting feeling that I had, and finding, like having finally the access and the space, the time to process, also in relation to other people. I guess they also do it with their friends, but it was maybe it was maybe a nice ground to actually find a time to go deep in certain topic, and like also during our conversation for sure. Yeah. And that was when I think, okay, why did I do this work? Then I feel like maybe it is for them, because it is also then my wish is that then also other people, also other people from in Europe, not just from Netherlands, but also from other background, like Italians, would find a space and a time during watching the video to empathize, to connect, to understand, to open a dialogue. I don't feel like confrontation, but rather a bridge. So it's also for them. Yeah.
What do you find important for viewers to deduct from your work?
From viewers?
Yeah.
Sorry again?
What do you find important for viewers to deduct from your work? What should they take away from it?
I think, a sense of understanding that is not like sense of guilt, of feeling guilt. How do you say feeling guilt?
Mm-hmm.
Or
feeling guilty. Probably.
Guilty.
Yeah.
So understanding without suffering, but like empathizing without shame. So just a common feeling of going back home with okay, I learned something new, and maybe this something new can create the ground to then open conversation with whoever lives around me in my neighborhood, or I don't know if it answers your question.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
Okay.
Mariska, to continue on where you ended lastly, where would you place Lavinia's work into society?
Into society?
Yeah, because we're in an institution, and that's what you stated just before. Mm-hmm. That it's difficult to get it here, but
to get people here to look at it.
No, to get the work out of the institution.
I find it very difficult. It would be great if we got some press, some serious press. I don't know if you can screen it. I mean, it makes sense to see it in this bubble, really.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, I find it hard because it is art. I mean, and art has its venues. What would you say? Can you just screen it online without any context?
No.
No.
No, I don't think so. I think it will lose also the power in a way.
Yeah, because you were talking before that that you started living in Charloes, and then how people reflect on your work there.
Oh, I lost my Charloes representative years ago now. I represent Blijdorp, but anyway. Sorry again, like how do you...
Well, I'm curious where your work lives outside of the institution.
My work outside the institution, it could live. I mean, I think, but it needs a context, like a presentation, an introduction.
And time.
But I mean, it's not like, I don't know.
But you can show it for years in all kind of art venues to start with.
Yeah.
Bigger.
Yeah, because that was my follow-up question. What's next?
But the thing is that in order to take out this work from art institutions, I decided together with the participants that it would have been super nice that actually people could access this work in a very more mainstream image of hip-hop again. And then we decided, okay, why don't we do a concept album with the text that they wrote for the video? So that was also a way to give back the project in their domain, to their crowd. So with them and with also with some other kids, other guys that were part of the shooting the video themselves, that they were also spoken word artists, producers, and musicians, we decided, okay, why don't we just do a spin-off of the project so that it goes out from, it can be given to people like it is without presentation, and that people are really familiar with this format because it's an album, like everybody listens to music, and we implement it in a way that this narration from the colonies, from the colonies to Rotterdam again, becomes like an audio journey in music, and that's the way it gets to
Thanks. Yeah.
outside the museum.
Yeah.
That's what I could say.
Yeah. Great answer.
Yeah.
Mariska, what's next for you?
What's next for me?
Yeah.
Well, I'm really looking forward to what's going to happen with Lavinia's presentation and then Heidi. We are still working on that. And after that, I'm going to write a long read for Tent with the 3 artists, in which we try to go a bit deeper in the ideas that are behind. So these ways of speaking and, you know, opening up those invisible or stuff that is what we know, what we can see through film. That's next. And after that, I'll see.
Great.
I'm teaching also, so there's enough to do. Yeah.
I know the feeling.
Right.
Thank you so much for
Thank you.
being here today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Really nice.
Okay.
Yeah.